Hi, class. This is for the International Voices class, my favorite class. And we have a guest speaker today, Sister Maria Zeimen, who is a member of, I'm a member of her community. We're in the same community, Clinton Franciscans. And she works with immigrants in Chicago. And I asked her if she would come and talk to us about what her job entails and any stories that she has that we might find correlation to Enrique's journey.
All right. I'm only a volunteer. So when I knew I was going to retire, I wanted to work with some group on some particular issue. And since the Sisters of St. Francis have taken immigration as our public stance on it, that we will really work for immigration. I found this group. It's called the Interfaith Committee for Detained Immigrants. So mostly we work with the detained immigrants. And it has 4 aspects to the program. The first one that I became involved in was praying on Friday morning. So there are about 30 to 50 people who gather every Friday morning outside the deportation center at 7:15. And the reason,
where's that?
It's in
Downtown?
Broadview. No, it's in Broadview, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And we chose that time because every Friday, 1 or 2 big buses filled with deportees. Yes, they're deporting. They take them from the deportation center to O'Hare Airport. And they mostly, these would be going back to Mexico. They take them to the border and just dump them there, more or less. But anyway, so we go on Friday morning. Some people go at 4 a.m. in order to take clothes to them because these people are coming from jail and all they have is their orange jumpsuit. So if their families aren't there with clothes for them to change into, then our group provides clothes for them. They also pray with them in the deportation center and pray with them on the bus. Now these people are not criminals, but when they put them on the bus, they shackle them, they handcuff them, and they put them in cages. So we're there praying the rosary as the bus pulls out. We hold up a rosary so that they will know that we're there supporting them, praying for them. 30 to 50 people. And it's an interfaith group. We have the rosary 3 times a month, and then the 4th Friday we have interfaith prayer. So it's either led by a rabbi or somebody from the Islam religion or a Protestant minister. And oftentimes there are students just like your students there with us. For instance, Loras College sometimes brings a van full of students. They're in Chicago for some other reason, but they come to pray with us. Or St. Xavier universities or high schools. But the other ones are just faithful people who come every week, and it's been going on for 7 years, every Friday. And it was started not by sisters, but there are a lot of sisters who come, but it was started by a lawyer who works with the immigrants. And sometimes his cases, as much as he would do, he couldn't win the case. So he knew he had to change the heart of the judge, so he said, prayer is what we need. So the first Friday, it was just him and a couple other people. And he was just going to do it once a month, but then a couple sisters came and they said, no, every Friday. So now it's every Friday. And the first time I went, he said, I want you all to pray for Jose. I've been working on this case for sometimes months, sometimes years. They work on it. And he says, there's no reason why he should be in jail, so I want you to pray for Jose. So the next week we got there, he said, your prayers were answered. We won the case. And then the 3rd week I went, here was Jose leading the rosary, and his wife and his little boy. So that's the Friday. Then the second part of the program is that we visit the people who are in the McHenry County Jail. And we can only go on Tuesdays, and so there are about 15 people who go every Tuesday. So That'd be about 60. There's about 70 people in all that go to visit the jail, but 15 or 16 at a time. And what we do is the table is about this wide, and we sit across from the person we're visiting with. So 15 people might come in, and each of us visits with one person, just to let them know that we're supporting them. That's mostly what we do, and that we will ask other people to support them. So we just ask them how they're getting along in the jail, and I am so inspired by the people that I visit with. They don't have anger or bitterness or any kind of negative attitude. They are using, so many of them are using this time in jail as an opportunity to grow. And so they'll say things to me like, I'm really learning a lot from the rest of the guys. There are some women there too, but fewer women. And we tell each other our stories, and we're learning from each other's stories. Or now I go to Bible study.
They're English speaking?
Some of them are English speaking. We have about 5 people who speak Spanish, and they usually have
Interpret.
Yeah, they usually have.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they have 2 at a time, because there are quite a few people who can't speak any English. But so anyway, they say those inspiring things about how they're using this as an opportune moment. They have changed their relationship with God. I've grown in my relationship with God, they might say. Or I realize now that I hang around with the wrong group of people, and when I get out, I'm going to say hello to them, but I'm going to tell them, no, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. I have made some mistakes in my life. I know what they are, and I'm really concentrating on those, and I hope to change my way of life. Just inspiring things. But then they also have heart-rendering stories to tell, like they've been taken from their families, and they can't visit with anybody face-to-face except us. If they visit with their family, it has to be through a TV monitor. And at first they couldn't even receive pastoral care. We call ourselves pastoral care workers, but they couldn't, all people who are in jail or in prison can have pastoral care, but not the detained ones. So these 2 sisters, Joanne and Pat, went to Springfield, and they visited with the senators and representatives, and they pushed until they got a law passed that the immigrants can have pastoral care. And that's the reason we could go. Yeah. So let's see, there's another, one of the things that we ask them, do you have any prayer requests? Because we take down their names and their prayer requests, and then, as you know, we send them, like the sisters send them to their mother houses, and we send them to friends, and we send them to the associates, and ask people to pray for their request. And that means so much to them. They're just really touched by that.
Just
that
to have
other
a
people,
network. Yeah,
that network of people would be supporting them in prayer. So that's the second.
That's the second one.
And then the third one is providing a place for them to stay if they have no place to go when they are. Some of them actually are released from the jail, and they can go back to their families if they have families. But some of the people who come here they just come here, as you mentioned about
Enrique.
this woman. They come so that they can earn money to send back to their families who are practically starving to death. So if they're released, they have no place to go because they've lost their job, they've lost their home, their house. And so these 2 sisters especially, and other people work with them, right now they just have to find people who will welcome them into their homes. But we have 2 former convents now that we're making into centers where people can go and stay for 6 weeks, months, until they can find a job and get a house. So we also, there are quite a few parishes that we've asked to be part of that. So they're providing furniture, And the first home that's going to be opened is going to be called the Marie Joseph, after this woman. Marie Joseph was released in midwinter from the jail. She had no place to go but the street, and she froze to death. So in honor of her, first home's going to be called Marie Joseph. Yeah.
Her influences.
Yes.
Yeah, the negative.
Yes. Yes, she didn't die in vain.
Right.
Yes. So then the fourth aspect is called court watch. And what that is we have people who go down when the cases come to court. They just go down and sit in court as watchers, and the judges know they're there, and the lawyers know they're there, and we're just there so that they are treated well, for the well-being of the immigrants.
And they get arrested just because they don't have documentation.
Yeah, they get arrested for different reasons.
But none of it's criminal activity.
Usually.
I mean,
there are a few,
yeah.
yes. But they might be stopped for a traffic violation, and then they find out, you know. Or some of them admit that they were drinking and they got in a fight. And somebody called the police. So there are different reasons, but most of them are just there because they're undocumented. Yes, some of them, the police come right to their house. They're taken right out of their house in front of their children. Now that isn't supposed to be legal because they can't enter a house without somebody saying so.
A warrant of some kind.
Yes. I was thinking of a couple more things. Last time we were at the jail, this young man was 18 years old from Honduras. He had spent thousands of dollars to have somebody help him get across the Honduras border into Mexico. It's even more dangerous and more difficult, or just as dangerous and difficult, to cross the Honduras into Mexico as it is from Mexico to the United States. So he had put out lots of money in order to be able, and then he was stopped right at the border. And here he was, 18 years old, and he was there to make money to send home to his family.
This book chronicles that a lot of money that is extorted from them, you know, and by unscrupulous people that then leave them high and dry. They don't follow through on their promise.
Yes. Well, you know what happened in my little hometown of Denison.
No.
A couple of years ago, there was a train car that had been parked in Denison for weeks or months, and then when they went to finally to move the car or something, the man opened the top of the car and looked down there, and he thought he saw skulls, bones, and he did. And so our sister Janine's niece followed up on that story. She wrote a book on that and found out, you know, how they had been put in this car.
Locked in. I've read that in the paper. I just didn't realize that it was Denison. I guess I forgot that part of it.
Anyway, so they put their life in danger when they try to come here to make a better life for themselves and their families. And then the other dangerous part is, and this is another aspect of the program that I'm somewhat familiar with, but what we have found out is that when they are taken to the border, when they cross the border, there are people over there who are waiting for them. They know that they have to have a little money, or that they will go to the bank and get some money. So their life it's very dangerous as they cross over. They're robbed and beaten and everything. If they have anything of worth, it's taken from them. Not everybody, but this can happen. So now what we have is people who go down there and they set up a home or an office. And so we have telephone numbers for them and the information about where to go when they cross the border to get help. So we have. That's just in Mexico. I don't think that's in other countries that they go back to.
That's a correlation to this too, because this little, well, he was 15, I think, when he came over. He had his mother's telephone number on a
Yes.
scrap of paper, and you lose that, and then you don't have anybody. You don't have any
Yes,
source
yes.
of support
Yes.
when you get here. So, in Sonia Nazaro, she talks about there are more single women and children that are coming into the States. Do you find that to be true in the population you deal with, or is it mostly men?
Well, we every Tuesday we see 4 to 5 different groups because we only visit with them for 20 to 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the first group is always women, and generally speaking, we have fewer than 15.
And are they women that have left their families behind, or are they with their families?
Most of them are women who are living here with their families and have been taken from their families. Mm-hmm. Yes. I haven't visited with very many people who were single and came over here until I visited with that young man from Honduras this past week. Yes, most of them, some of them have been here 20 years, 25 years. They have good jobs. They were working. They say, I'm a hard worker. Mm-hmm. I pay taxes. They pay their income taxes.
And have it all taken away from them, yeah, in a way. Well, what would be the most effective thing? What would you suggest that our class could do about this, about immigration?
Yes. One of the other things that we do, and we're told to do this every Friday, to contact our Congress people and say, we want and need a comprehensive immigration bill. So that's really important, especially now. And not to just do it once, but to do it twice and make phone calls and send emails, go visit them. We have, a whole group of us have gone down to Springfield, and visited with them. Mm-hmm. We don't always see the representative, but we see their administrative assistant or somebody. So we don't just, our main ministry is with the detained people, but we also are working on passage of an immigration bill. That's important. Now, I hope I can remember these facts, but I think it's like 1,100 people are deported every day. 1,100. That's 1,100 families that are being ripped
decimated,
apart.
yeah.
And I think since June, when the Senate passed that law in June, if the House had also passed that law, we probably would have, in that time, I think this was like end of October, that Royal Berg, he's the attorney that started this. His name is Royal Berg. Anyway, he said that 100,000 people had been deported during that time. And of that, 80,000 of them should not have been deported, wouldn't have been deported if this law had been passed. So we would still be deporting some people, criminals. I mean, there are some people that need to be deported, but it's fewer than are being deported. Yes, 1,100 a day.
Scary.
Yes.
Anything we're forgetting, Joyce?
Nope, she's got it all pretty well covered.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.